All right. Hi there. Welcome to December 2nd. I look insane. Give me 2 seconds. All right, that's feeling a little bit better. I got a Santa hat on, my crazy hair is hidden, we're all good. Anyways, hi. Welcome to December 2nd, and welcome to an ongoing and brand new idea I had. I am going to try to have a video uploaded every single day this month. Now, this is going to be different for every kind of video you're going to see. This one, for instance, is going to be me talking about my Leagues of Votann army. The next one will be 7 Days to Die video, and then who knows after that. I apologize for the blown out background. There's really no way I can fix this because the sun is right there. I can't, I just can't. If I lower the blinds are like bright. They diffuse the light. Like straight, they're not covering the light, they're just diffusing it. So you still get bright sunlight in here, but like it doesn't actually stop sunlight, so I gotta get some blinds put up. Anyways, I wanted to talk about my Leagues of Votann army today because I haven't actually talked about my specific army so far. I'm not talking about the lore behind my custom kinship or whatever, which I have ideas, I just haven't written them out properly yet. I want to talk about specifically the army that I have built. So, my army is jangled and jambled, and it is technically one of everything. I only have two. Actually, no, I don't have duplicates. I just have two of the same unit, of one unit. Yes. So, my goal when I started making my Leagues of Votann army, when I started collecting in July, was to have one of every single Leagues of Votann unit before I started doubling up. That was my plan, and I'm still going along with that. I am about 3 models short, maybe 4. But my current army consists of, I'll go through the list of what I got in what order. So, for my birthday in July, I got an a Brokir Iron Master. That was the very first model I ever got, and it's painted completely differently from every other model in my army. Because I hadn't painted Warhammer in forever, and I got into it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to paint these guys, and then I painted them like Dark Angels. And they ended up looking a lot like the Kyrian League? Which one is it? The main color scheme. These guys ended up looking like those guys. And I was like, I don't really like this. And by the time I got to the actual Iron Master, I had painted, I went one by one. I did Ecog, I think there's 4. Ironkin, Iron Master. Because I wanted to see how my painting could improve. I specifically went one by one, asking for input on each individual model as I went along, because I wanted to improve, because I'm collecting Warhammer again, I want to paint up to a level that I appreciate. So, I'm at that level now where I appreciate my paint jobs and I enjoy them. But when I first started, they were complete trash. The Brokir Iron Master is a fantastic little unit with some minor problems. The first problem is that the ECOG aren't tokens. They act as models in the unit proper. So there's a synergy building between Brokir Iron Master and the Brokir Thunderking, because they're both part of the Brokir Engineering Guild. You can attach an Iron Master to a Thunderkin, and they're great together because it's repairers and it's +1s and it's great. The downside is you can't then put that unit into a Hecaton, because the Hecaton has this weird rule where the exosuits that the Brokir Ironkin use, or Thunderkin use, count as 3 slots. So you can hold 1 squad of 3 plus 1 or 2 additional units, I believe. Let me pull up my thing here. So it can store 1 squad of Thunderkin plus an additional 3 units, which is great because that's the Iron Master, a Thunderkin, and an ECOG, which is great. But the ECOGs count as actual models, so you can't have a full squad led by the Iron Master in the Hecaton, which kind of destroys the whole purpose behind it, which is be like, get the heavy land fortress up there, deploy the heavy ranged units, get the Iron Master to repair them and repair the tank. And like that's an armored unit right there, and it's so cool to have. It would be so cool that this whole iron front just marching down the field, be like, I'm going to deploy my heavy suits, which are going to destroy everything in the area, being defended by the land fortress, both being repaired by the Iron Master. It would just be so cool. But that synergy doesn't exist because of the ECOGs. Those need to be fixed. Those ECOGs need to be tokens or something else. Like, they need to be described as something else, so they don't actually count towards unit size, which would be amazing. They're not really useful anyway. Okay, so the next unit, because I could rant about them forever. The next unit I got was the Chthonian Berserkers, which was the start of my custom paint job for my Votann, which is named the Hersgear. It was at one point supposed to be a mixture of like Lords of the Void or something like that, and I did different languages to get different words together. At this point, it's just Hersgear. There's no meaning behind it. It's just a word. But I got the Chthonian Berserkers, I painted them up, and this is when I really think I fell in love with the Votann, with the kin, because they just looked so perfectly space dwarf. They could have used some beards, don't get me wrong, every dwarf in the army needs proper beards. And I mean, some of them are okay, but I mean like full flowing dwarven knots with runes in them beards, like the Warhammer Fantasy dwarves beards, but on the Votann would be great. But yeah, the Chthonian Berserkers were my second unit I ever got. They were a birthday present from my wife. And gameplay wise, I like them. They need just a touch more survivability or a touch more speed. Like, they're supposed to be the Berserkers, which if anyone is aware with like Norse mythology, Viking lore, all that kind of stuff, Berserkers were super drugged up individuals who went into battle and they couldn't feel pain, which is where the cyber sims come in. But they couldn't feel pain going into a fight. I feel like you would get a slight speed boost. I'm talking even just like an inch or two speed boost to that specific unit, because if you give them a speed boost, they're already very weak. They have a 6+ regular save and a 5+ feel no pain. Like, Berserkers are dead. The moment they hit an enemy, unless they're attacking first, they're like, unless you get them into melee, they're going to die the moment they're seen by another unit. That's just how they are. And that's why I'm like, they need just a touch more survivability or speed, because then you can get them into the fight to do what they're supposed to do. And I don't want them to survive past that engagement. It would be great if I got into a fight with my Berserkers and they got into another fight later on. But if I could lock my Berserkers into a fight with another melee unit and just tie that melee unit up one-on-one, and then my Berserkers are dead by the end of it, I'm happy, because they did their job. They're going to have taken out a lot of that other melee unit, or whatever unit it is, and they're going to have, tied up that whole unit. It would have been great. But if you can't get into the range, they can't do their job. So you have to either sacrifice a Sagittaire or a Hecaton space in order to move them up the field. I don't like putting them in a transport. I don't have a transport yet, but I don't like the idea, because then that vehicle becomes a bigger target than it already was. And you can use that to your advantage. You can be like, okay, I'm going to put my Berserkers and my Sagittaire and move the Sagittaire over here, and then I'm going to move it up the field, and all their fighters can be focused on that. Because if they don't destroy that vehicle, those Berserkers are going to wreck something. That's just how it is. So all their firepower will be focused there for the most part, which gives you freedom to move up the field a little bit. But then you're also sacrificing a Sagittaire and your Berserkers. It would be nice if I didn't have to choose between either maintaining a dedicated transport for my Berserkers, or having my Berserkers die in the first shooting round if they are out of cover. Even if they're not in cover. Sorry, even if they're in cover, they're still going to die pretty much immediately. But yeah, they need just a touch more survivability or speed. One of the two. Just so they can get to the point of being able to do their job. And might have done their job a couple times. I've done a couple games and they've done really, really well. So the next unit after the Berserkers that I got were the first ones that I bought for myself. And at this point, I realized I have one piece of the Combat Patrol. I'm like, cool, I could just start collecting more of the Combat Patrol. So I believe the next unit I bought after that was the Hearthkin, which are the base battle line units so far of the Leagues of Votann, which they're pretty good as is. They're kind of squishy, but that's not bad. They get a lot of bonuses. Like, the Hearthkin get a lot of bonuses. You attach a call to them, they get lethal hits. They automatically have a 5+ feel no pain or 6+ feel no pain. They have ignore cover. They have the ability to get a command point back if you use a stratagem on them. And they have sticky objectives as their baseline thing. Like, they're really good. Plus, some of their weapons are just amazing. Like, the Magna Rail, the Plasma Beamer. Oh my god, the Plasma Beamer is amazing. So, there's a bunch of people walking around outside. I think they have a really, really good place right now. They don't really need to be touched all that much. No, There's not. At that point, it's just you need a Sagittarius to split them up, and then you got 2 units of 5 that both have sticky, so you can go start sticking objectives. That's it. I love them as is. Maybe just a reduction in points so they can have more of them, but like, no, I think they're pretty much in a good place right now. After that, I believe I picked up my bikes, which I hated painting the bikes. The bikes were probably the most hated painted job I did in this entire endeavor so far. There wasn't anything really wrong with them. It's just I haven't painted a vehicle. Not a vehicle. I haven't painted a vehicle in years. So I went from painting, like smaller models than this to painting a bike that big. I was like, this is a lot of paint. This is a lot of time. And I have this problem, and I'm getting over it, where it's like if the paint job's not looking good by the time I'm done like the first or second coat, I'm not liking it. And the bikes went through 3 or 4 revisions before I got the paint job down. And I usually, when I get a new unit or a new army or whatever, I will paint one model first. I'll be like, I'm going to take the Hearthkin. I painted the Thane first. I'm like, this is going to be the first model I paint. Every single other model after this is going to be painted in the exact same style with minor alterations depending on, the backpack or the gun or whatever to vary the unit. Like specifically the medic, the comms guy, the panspectral scanner, and the 2 heavy weapons got their own unique paint jobs on specific parts of them. Everything else looked just like the Thane though. I did the same thing with the bikes, but it took me a month to paint the bikes because I didn't like the way they were coming out. And I was, at that point, I'm like, cool, I'm going to paint all 3 of them at once because there's just 3 of them. I can get all 3 of them done nice and easy. It didn't go that way. So I painted one. Eventually, I got it to the point where I really liked it, and I love the way the bikes look, which pains me because I want to get more because they look so cool, but I hated painting them so much. But maybe the next time I do them, they won't take so long, and it won't be such a pain in the ass, but they're really cool. Gameplay-wise, the bikes are amazing. They are my favorite unit by far, save for the Thunderking. The Thunderking are my favorite unit overall, but the bikes are second, like, by just a hair. They're fast, they've got a shit ton of guns, and they have unique abilities that are like, hey, if you're 6 inches from the edge of the board and you're not on the first turn, you can pull them away and put them somewhere else at the start of your next turn. Like movement phase, like you can put them in reserves and pull them back down the field. That's amazing. I have never used that ability because I'm such an idiot with my bikes. I usually put them front and center, or they get engaged with some stupid unit and they get stuck and I can't use them and I keep forgetting I can fall back. But they're so good. The bikes are so good. They come with a big gun. Each one has a shotgun. Each one has a autocannon. Each one has a pistol. And then there's one big gun. And it's so fun. Because they've got the 9-inch scouts. They've got 12-inch movement. They've got panspectral scanner, which ignores cover. They've got comms beacon, which gets them a reroll CP if you use a stratagem on them. Like, they are really good, and I love them. There's nothing wrong with them right now. Even their saves, they've got 3 wounds and I think a 4+ or 3+ save. They're really good. But yeah, I love the bikes. After the bikes, I picked up I picked up my Echamp, my first Echamp, which was my thick miniature. And I say thick because it's literally thick 44 from Neebs Gaming. Because it was, I love Neebs Gaming a lot. I really do. They're one of my favorite channels on YouTube. And years ago now, I guess, yeah. When Tony passed away, being who I am, I'm also a blacksmith, I started forging a sword for Thick. I meant to send it to the team, and the team never really got back to me, and there's a bit of back and forth, and eventually came back to the point where, like, we don't have space in the office for it. So it's kind of been sitting, I'm finishing it up now. But I wanted to do a tribute to Thick in some way. So I painted my first Echamp like Thick 44. Black armor, purple highlights, purple mohawk, screaming as he's running down a hill. I'm like, this is perfect for Thick. The first Hearthguard unit I ever get is going to be painted like the rest of Neebs Gaming, so I can just have that unit. That was the first unit where I was like, cool, hero units are going to have their own color scheme. Because they're hero units. And I didn't really do it for the anniversary call, or for Uther. I think Uther's still got the same paint job as everyone else. But the Echamps, because they're champions, I guess in my head, I'm like, they get their own colors. And then whatever unit they're leading will have the similar paint job. That way I know this unit goes with that guy, this unit goes with that girl, that unit goes with that guy. I'll know what goes with what, and it's going to be awesome. The Echamp is one of my favorite units, probably third place overall, just because of how hard they hit and how long they survive. In my last game, tied up Death Marks with one Echamp. I went toe-to-toe with Death Marks, who suck in melee, but the champion doesn't. I went toe-to-toe and tied up those snipers for the entirety of the game, pretty much, which was amazing. I loved it. I just wish I had a unit for them to lead. If they had a unit to lead, I could deep strike them, and they've got the reroll charges, and there's a lot of really nice abilities you have to have a unit being led in order to do. That's the only downside to having an Echamp is you can field them, and they're really fun, but you need Earthguard with them, or else they're really lacking in their abilities. Actually, no, there's one complaint I have about the Echamps, and they can have the Dark Star Axe, but it doesn't do good. It's got a lot of attacks, sure, but, and again, this is my brain, by the story they've told in the lore, Dark Star axes or weapons or whatever like that, if they touch something, it dies. Doesn't matter if it's flesh or machine, it dies. And it's just like you touch it and it just turns off. That's the way it's supposed to work. Anyways, as far as I'm aware. And the Dark Star Axe is not that powerful. And I'm like, I understand it would be really broken to be that powerful. I could see giving a weapon that powerful to like Uther or other heroes, like named characters, would be really cool. But the hammer is just so much better. It does so much more damage, and it's only got 3 attacks, but it does so much more damage. If you hit something, it's dead. After that one, I picked up, actually, I think I picked up Uther after that. And this was a disappointment to me, because I picked up Uther. I was like, Uther's really cool. I really like having this named hero. And then as I got to building him, I realized, oh, Uther and the default call are the exact same model, just with minor alterations. That's it. That's all it is. Uther's the exact same as a call, just he's got like, you can have a different head, you can have a different rampant crest, and you can have 2 different weapons. That's it. And I was like, this is really disappointing, because I really thought he was going to have a unique stance and unique position, but he's just a call. He's just a unique call. And I was like, this is dumb. Field-wise, gameplay-wise, Uther is fun, but underpowered in certain regards. I love his ability to reduce damage from attacks to 1. That's great. I love his ability to... what was the other ability he has? Oh my god. It's... let me pull up Uther. Ancestral Fortune, that's it. It's changed since this page came out, but you can change any attack or damage roll to... No, attack or wound roll to 6. Which is great, because his gun has devastating wounds, and his weapon has devastating wounds. So you're like, oh, I hit you. Cool. I automatically do a devastating wound to you. You don't have to save for that. You automatically take 1 wound. That's awesome. I like that. The problem I have with Uther is his Vulcanite Disintegrator. It sounds like an amazing weapon. It's absolutely shit. It's 3 attacks, 2+ to hit, which is really good. 0 AP, 5 strength. The 5 strength, I can give you. The 0 AP for something named Vulcanite Disintegrator. 0 AP. What the fuck? It needs to have at least a -1 AP. That would be the only change I would make to Uther, is I would give his gun a -1 AP. And I would make it unique to him. Because other units can have Vulcanite Disintegrators. But I would make his specifically a -1. And that's the only change I would make. His goddamn sword has a -3 AP. I'm just looking at that now. His sword has -3 AP. Uther is not a ranged unit. Uther's a melee unit. Why can't he lead Berserkers? We have no Berserker leaders. This is annoying. Anyway, that's my rant about Uther. I really like the idea of him. He just needs some tweaks. And then I think after Uther, I got my Thunderking, and I love my Thunderking. They're my best paint job by far. Everything I've done so far, the Thunderking are my best paint job by far, and I love them for it, because they look so good to me. They look so good. And as I was building them, I'm like, oh, they don't really look that great. And it's the same thing I had with the bikes. I'm like, they don't look that cool, because I paint the body and I paint the suit and the armor and then in the harness and stuff like that. And then I get the arms on. I'm like, yeah, it looks kind of dumb. And then you put the gun on. Once you've got that giant gun on one of them, it looks so good. And that gun is the centerpiece to that specific model. And every model's got its own centerpiece, but the gun on that one is its centerpiece. Like, you need to paint the gun really, really well for that guy to pop. But gameplay wise, the Thunderking are my top of the top of the top, because one, the conversion beamers are just outstanding. This is why I want them to be able to fit inside a Hecaton with a Brooker Iron Master. You put a conversion beamer on your unit. You send it to the middle of the field. You get out. Everything within 12 inches is critting on 4s. That's insane. That's insane. And it's sustained, I think. Let me pull up Thunder again. Yeah, it's sustained hits D3. It's one attack, though, but sustained hits D3. Within 12 inches, you hit. Okay, I hit. I do an additional D3, which is 1 to 3 additional hits. All critting's on 4. And it does 3 damage, -1 AP, 7 strength. Like, it's a ridiculously powerful gun. I'd like to use the Graviton Blaster next game. What I did when I built my unit was I gave them each their own gun, because there's 3 models in a unit and 3 different guns they can have. I gave each one a different gun, so I can be like, okay, I'm going to field them with conversion beamers. Next game, I'm going to field them with Graviton Blasters and then the bolt cannons. The Graviton Blasters are great anti-vehicle weapons. They've got Blast, which is really cool. I don't know when that would be useful fighting vehicles, but it's really cool to know that they have Blast. I kind of just ignored that before, but they got D6 attacks. That's really good. That's really good. And -2 AP, that's real. I should use that more. I really like the critting on 4s is probably my favorite part of the conversion beamers, which is why I love them so much. And the sustained hits is just really cool. But that Blast and D6 attacks, that's really good. I should use that. But yeah, my paint job on them was probably my favorite. I just love their abilities, because they've got like the Oathband Covering Fire, which when you use Overwatch on them, you hit on 5s instead of 6s, which dramatically changes their abilities. They are so powerful, and I really hope they don't nerf these guys, because I think they're just like perfectly balanced. They got a 3+ save, 3 wounds, 5-inch movement, but their melee sucks. They are specifically supposed to be ranged attacks. That's it. If they get in melee, they're pretty much fucked, which I had happen to them, which was weird because they survived that melee really, really well. I'll have to think about that one, because they did survive that melee really well. They didn't really do a lot of damage, but they survived it, which I think was in turn thanks to the Iron Master who was attached to them. After the Thunderkin, I picked up both the Wrath of the Ancients and the Anniversary Call. Wrath of the Ancients is just another E-Champion, which super cool. I like the E-Champions. I like the stance of the new E-Champion, the Wrath of the Ancients, more than the regular one. I really hope they come out with at least one more unique stance for the E-Champion. I kind of like the idea that, like, they're the same sculpt but different stance. I like that. Yeah, so there's no special rules for the E-Champion, for the Wrath of the Ancients E-Champion. She's really cool. I painted her up to look like she's wearing marble armor, because I was like, I want each one to be unique, and the last one was black, you should be white. I liked that thought. I'm like, I'm gonna go with this. Gameplay wise, again, E-Champions are amazing. She had oh my god, what's that unique ability called? I gotta pull it up now. Wayfarer's Grace, which, for anyone watching, if you use Wayfarer's Grace, it doesn't matter if the unit that kills you has full judgment tokens. You add more, but ignore the ones you add. That's how it works. So you can add additional judgment tokens to units, but it can't go above a 2. You can add, and then if you have 3, it's ignored down to 2. That's how it works. So I say that specifically because Wayfarer's Grace says you add the judgment tokens first and then bring it back. So in the game I had, she died like round 2. She was guarding my home objective, died round 2 to some destroyers. And then we had a little discussion back and forth of how this ability works. And we came to the conclusion that... actually, no, it was a roll-off. That was the way it was. I was like, I think she comes back. And he was like, I don't know. It doesn't sound like she does. I was kind of in agreement, but eventually we rolled on it. It's like 1, 2, 3, it goes my way. 4, 5, 6, it goes his way. Which was great to conclude that discussion, because there wasn't really any arguing about it. It was like, I'm not sure, so let's just do this, and whichever way the dice rolls is how it's going to be played. But Wayfarer's Grace, you ignore the additional judgment tokens, you place them back on the field within 9 inches. Roll a d6 on 2+, battlefield close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range. So you can be within an inch, outside of an inch, of the enemy that destroyed you, and then just charge into them and destroy them next turn. Which is awesome. That's a fantastic little ability, and it only happens once, but using it properly would have been probably changed the tide of that battle, to be completely honest. And that's it. I've got the unique call. Like I said, I've got the call Yacht Grenbach. And I love his stance. I love his positioning. I love everything about him. He looks so cool. I changed the tactical rock he's supposed to be like sitting on for an old orc war boss I had kind of sitting around. So he looks really cool, and I like him a lot. But he's just a call. So he does the same thing Uther does, except he leads a... he can lead the Earthkin, and they get Rampant Crest, I think. Does he get it as well? There's something else. The warrior will. Oh yeah. If you give a call to a Hearthkin, they can teleport instead of getting the 5+ invulnerable saves, which is cool. Calls themselves get 4+. Involves they have 3+ save. They have the choice between the Autok Pattern Combine Bolter or the Volcanic Disintegrator, a 4-drop Plasma Axe, or a Mass Gauntlet. I gave him the Plasma. He's got a sword, so he's got his Plasma Sword. I think it's got unique rules in the booklet, wherever it went for him. He's got like legends specifically because he came out in 9th. I think he came out in 9th anyway. Where his sword does specific things versus other things. But yeah, they're a really good unit overall. I think actually, if you attach a call to a Hearthkin unit, you get lethal hits from Kindred Hero. If you attach Uther to Hearthkin, you don't get that. Yeah, you don't get that kind of ability. You don't even get anything aside from the 5+ invulnerable save. Wow. And he gets Grim Efficiency. Wow, the call is just so much better than Uther. I mean, technically. Anyway, that's where my army sits right now. I'm hoping, and I don't want to... Oh, it's kind of cloudy out. Yay. I don't want to, like, over-confirm it, but I should be getting the Battle Box for Christmas, which comes with 2 Hearthguard, a Hecaton, a Sagittaire, a Grimnir, and another Echamp. The third Echamp, I don't know what paint job I'm going to do for him. I think I'm going to go Deep Rock Galactic with it, but I'm not sure. The Hecaton and the Sagittaire are also going to get slightly unique paint jobs. And the Grimnir, I want to do something unique with it. I want to make it like... Maybe I'll model it... Are these the same dudes just doing loops? Maybe I'll model it kind of after like a red mage or black mage for Final Fantasy. That'll be kind of cool. But yeah, that's my army so far. I know this has been a half-hour video of me discussing the Leagues of Votann in a very blown-out background. I apologize for that. But it's sunny out and I can't... Let me just show you, okay? Let me just show you. It's kind of better, but also not, because it's still just blown out. So, yeah. That's a half hour of me discussing how I love my Leagues of Votann army and how I cannot wait to finish collecting. And because once I have the battle box, if I'm getting it, I'm still not 100% confirmed of getting it. If I am getting it, I will have one of every single Leagues of Votann model at that point. I will have a Hecaton. I will have a Sagittaire. I will have the Hearthguard. I will have the Grimnir. There's no new models after that. Once we get our second wave, I will start collecting those ones. But once I've got the battle box, I will focus on getting my 2,000 point army built. With that, with the battle box, I'll have 1,500. And I need 2,000 to do tournaments. I'm probably going to buy myself another bike squad, another Thunderking squad, and maybe another Hearthkin squad. And those are like confirmed 3 units I'm going to build and buy and paint for my army after I paint the battle box. But yeah, I just wanted to spiel about the Leagues of Votann for today because this is the 2nd of December and I want to put a video out today. I'm going to put a video out every single day. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you watched, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel. These things will help me greatly. In the end, I shall see you later. Have a good day and bye.